community as he welcomes 3 new ambassadors.
Engaging and sensitizing our religious leaders so that when they have the buy-in, when they understand the expanse of COVID-19, then they will be able to communicate with their followers in a language that only they can.
Primary Healthcare Agency engages Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs on myths and facts about COVID-19 vaccine.
If Amnesty International has any proof, let Amnesty International take advantage of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry set up by Lagos State Government.
Federal government calls Amnesty International to order on its negative reports on Nigeria.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss ways of mitigating market fires in Nigeria.
Now, fire is one of the most destructive and disruptive and costly causes of damage to any building or structure. It is the leading cause of loss of lives and property, especially commercial and industrial facilities. There is hardly any state in Nigeria that has not experienced one market fire incident or another. From Lagos to Maiduguri and Onitsha to Sokoto, this story is the same.
You're absolutely correct, Kyria. Now, fire disasters ravaging markets with lives lost and millions of naira worth of property destroyed compound the suffering of victims who later, as it were, become impoverished. In fact, the incidents in marketplaces is long and worrisome.
Honestly, Kinsley, I wonder at the frequency of these market fire incidents across the country. Nigerians had not even recovered from the shock and devastation of the Sokoto market fire, which made headlines on the pages of newspapers before another one came up on the social media. Goods and property worth millions of naira destroyed this week, Tuesday to be precise, at Shomolu area of Lagos, where a portion of Alade market was gutted by fire.
It's a very disturbing trend, no question about that. Now, hard-working citizens trying to make ends meet in these very challenging times wake up one day to the shock of losing their means of livelihood. Now, who can forget the Ochanja market fire disaster in Onitsha in 2019, which was caused by a petrol tanker laden with fuel, which fell into a gutter, spilling its contents and then sparking a fire.
We can also recall the popular Balogu market in Lagos on the 6th of November 2019. Traders had stockpiled their wares in their shops in readiness for Christmas sales. These traders were known for a wide variety of colorful Nigerian fabrics. They watched as their means of livelihood go up in flames.
Well, Balogu market is a very, very busy one that spans several blocks. It is one of the country's largest markets for Nigerian fabrics and clothes. Now, Kano State has also recorded several market fire disasters in recent times. The list could go on and on.
It is remarkable that while some other countries in the Western world are battling with natural disasters resulting from unprecedented widespread of fires, partly as a result of climate change-related heat wave, Nigeria's own disasters are mostly man-made. Well, we can talk about Australia and the U.S., which experienced such deadly fires.
Now, some fire experts believe that these frequent fire outbreaks in markets are preventable if the government and traders can team up to put up preventive measures. For instance, power fluctuation, which has been blamed sometimes for the fires, or even traders themselves who are not quite sensitized as to what to do in the event of a fire outbreak. Kieran, one question that one can ask really is, look, how many Nigerians really know how to operate a fire extinguisher?
That's a very big question. We normally have market associations, most of the markets, right? And I think that it's high time they began to think polluting walls to see how they can also assist themselves in terms of teaching the traders how to operate fire extinguisher, and even to, if they have the wherewithal, perhaps the financial muscle, be able to even acquire, fire trucks, even if it's one per market, right? So that will help.
It doesn't have to be a big fire truck.
Exactly, very small one.
That's right. To tackle it before it becomes an inferno. Kyria, there's no question about it. Yesterday, while we were discussing incidents of crashes involving fuel tankers, part of what also came up, even from the conversation last week, is that a number of the drivers who are driving these fuel tankers don't even know how to operate a fire extinguisher.
All right, and in fact, most Nigerians can't handle one. Really, a lot needs to be done in the area of creating more awareness on the fire safety and consciousness. Fire is definitely a faithful servant, but a very dangerous master. The need to be mindful in avoiding fire outbreaks cannot be overemphasized. These issues and many others will guide our discussion this morning as we discuss mitigating market fires in Nigeria today on Good Morning Nigeria. Welcome to the program, broadcast live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. Now, we are reaching you from the nation's capital. My name is Kyrian Umayo. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Kyrian to also welcome you to the program, in the course of which we have our complimentary segments. These include newspaper review and business. In the meantime, let's get the highlights of the morning news with our other colleague, Dennis Adegunloye. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, Kingsley, and good morning, Kyrian. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government under his watch does not and will not allow religious prejudice or partisanship to influence any of its decisions and policies aimed at taking Nigeria to the next level of socio-economic development. Addressing members of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs during a courtesy visit, the president maintains his solemn disposition to be fair and just to all segments of society.
The federal government has worked tirelessly to combat insecurity and other challenges that are confronting the country. Security is a protracted problem, but we are not relenting in our efforts. I assure you that the government remains committed to act on behalf of the people of our nation. Educate Nigerians on the need to maintain peace. We don't have to lose peace before we appreciate it.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has reiterated Nigeria's commitment to working with the international community towards achieving global peace, food security, and a sustainable environment. This was while receiving 3 new ambassadors posted to the country on tour of duty.
To President Muhammadu Buhari, he had Mustafa Awad of Egypt, Faisal Ibrahim Al-Gamdi of Saudi Arabia, and Alejandro Francisco Herrero of Argentina. Addressing the envoy shortly after, President Buhari congratulated them for officially commencing diplomatic functions in Nigeria. He hopes that their respective mandates will be utilized towards improving cordial relations with the country, consistent with the Vienna Convention and global best practices.
Nigeria also enjoys very good bilateral relations with your respective countries. We are to pursue bilateral dialogue as well as build cooperation on the basis of constructive mutual respect in a shared vision for the future. Nigeria is a nation of great diversity.
Now, misinformation around COVID-19 vaccines, especially in the social media, is spreading and already building some level of resistance, even as Nigerians await the arrival of the vaccine into the country. It is on this premise that the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is engaging the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs for sensitization on the myths and facts surrounding the vaccine.
Engaging and sensitizing our religious leaders so that when they have the buy-in, when they understand the expanse of COVID-19, then they will be able to communicate with their followers in a language that only they can.
You must know the issues at hand and how to go about handling such issues. It's an opportunity for you now to bring up questions to the authorities, your fears on the vaccines.
The federal government says it will not fold its arms and watch Amnesty International continue with its negative reports on Nigeria. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this during an interactive session with newsmen in Abuja.
If Amnesty International has any proof, let Amnesty International take advantage of the Judicial Panel of Inquiry set up by Lagos State Government to go and tell them the names and addresses of the 12 people that they claimed were shot at the electoral gate. Otherwise, they to shut up and stop, annoying us.
And new Chief of Army Staff Major General Ibrahim Atahiru has formally assumed office. He becomes Nigeria's 25th Chief of Army Staff.
I wish to state that I also consider myself lucky to be taking over from you despite the very big shoes you are leaving behind for me to fill. I will continue to count on your advice and support as I pilot the affairs of the Nigerian Army.
Discipline and commitment to the President, Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, and also to my humble self while I served as the Chief of Army Staff.
Now, more than 160 million naira has been presented to families of deceased police officers who died during the NSAS violence. Minister of Information and Culture Lai Mohammed presented checks to beneficiaries as part of the life insurance and the Inspector General of Police Family Welfare Scheme.
I want to please assure the relations of the departed gallant officers that the force will not abandon you and that the people and government of Nigeria will appreciate what your loved ones have done, the fact that they've paid a supreme sacrifice.
I urge you all to please utilize this fund being given judiciously in meeting the training and welfare needs of the children and wives of the deceased persons. With regards to the officers that were injured, I'm also glad to know that their group personal accident medical expenses are also being processed and they shall be paid in due course.
846 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria in the last 24 hours, spread across 23 states and the FCT. In the new figures released by the NCDC, the FCT tops the list with 129 new infections, followed by Anambra State with 87, then Rivers State with 82 cases. Others are 80 in Benue, 76 in Oyo, 61 in Plateau, 54 in Kaduna, while Delta recorded 51. Nasarawa State records 38 new cases, Kwara 36, Edo 32, Katsina 26, Kano 24, Taraba 18, Ogun 14, Sokoto 11 and Gombe 10. The tally is completed by Jigawa with 7 cases, Akwa Ibom and Cross River 6 each, Zamfara and Bauchi 5 cases each, Osun 4 and Ekiti 2. Nigeria now has 127,024 confirmed cases, out of which 100,853 have been treated and discharged, while 1,547 deaths have now been recorded, unfortunately. Well, that's the morning news on Good Morning Nigeria. The program will continue shortly with Kingsley and Kieran after this break. Good morning.
Of nation building by bringing about good leadership and governance. For most citizens, their greatest weapon is their vote. Register now for your party and register when the time comes for elections. Political parties are the main vehicles under our laws through which citizens can participate in the ideals and practices of our democracy. As we have seen happening around the world, good citizens join political parties and use them to bring about the changes they desire. I am therefore endorsing the nationwide membership registration and the revalidation exercise embarked upon by our party, the All Progressive Congress. I call on patriotic Nigerians to come out during the exercise, which starts on the 26th of January, and avail themselves of the opportunity to join the APC.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher lo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that's why I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
Every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
After getting their first win in the Premier League, Sheffield United travelled to the Etihad Stadium to take on second-place Manchester City. Will they get a reality check, or can they pull off the upset? Find out as Manchester City welcomes Sheffield United on the Premier League Live, showing this Saturday on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Go.com.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Now, let's talk business. Entrepreneur identifies a vibrant transport system as stimulant for harmonizing economic gains. Kunle Adeye has the details.
The volume of local and international trades undoubtedly requires a vibrant transport sector to succeed. Nigeria, being Africa's largest economy, is however seen as one that will thrive beyond imagination if the sector can be harmonized. An entrepreneur, Chukwuma Okenwa, said an efficient transport sector facilitates economic growth, which also trickles down to job creation.
Well, three things stands out for that particular economy. Talk about transportation, talk of immigration, you understand, and of course the tourism industry, the number of arrivals like daily. And then of course when Nigerians also like considering, because when people are moving about, why are they moving about? They move man and materials, they move resources, you're able to connect cities, you're able to connect tourist centers. So what that means is that if a tourist enters into Nigeria, you can easily move, if you know that I can easily get to maybe a place like Yankari Game Reserve, and then also be able to touch Obudu Cattle Ranch at an affordable cost, you understand? I mean, that we like open up more of the sector, and we mean well, you understand, for that particular sector.
He emphasized that developed economies have always placed priorities on the sector. And let's see the closing figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange for Thursday, January 28, 2021. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeye.
Thank you, Kunle, for the business package. And next for us will be newspaper review.
Now we have our reviewer, Bayo Atoyebi. Bayo, it's good to see you. Good morning.
Thank you, Kirian. Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good to see you. Okay, let's begin by taking a look at the Nation newspaper. From above the nameplate, you have the following headlines. NSIA, that's the Sovereign Investment Authority, boasts COVID-19 treatment with oxygen devices. Government kicks, PDP gloats as TI, that's Transparency International, ranks Nigeria 149 on the corruption index. Government tackles AI, again that's Amnesty International, on Lekki shooting cover-up claim. EFCC calls witnesses in Mama Boko Haram's trial. And below the nameplate says PSC, that's Police Service Commission, promotes 20,356 police officers. Striking plateau workers get pay. COVID-19 vaccines won't hurt Nigerians, says Buhari. And NSCIA, as Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, alleges marginalization and victimization of Muslims. And then federal government redeems $500 million Euro bond. Lead story says Ohaneze and North Elders fought service chief's choice. With two riders, Obiozo, that's the new helmsman at Ohaneze, Southeast still excluded in security team. And Buritai Hansover recalls how Obasanjo nearly retired him. That was 21 years ago while he was still a major. The photograph on the front page shows the scene, the public hearing on the petroleum industry bill yesterday at the House of Reps. Monarch injured in host communities free for all at PIB hearing. The members of the host communities turned into Kung Fu experts. I think there were bloodstains also on the floor of the committee hearing. NSAS, families of slain officers get 160 million naira. APC registration takes off. Details are on page 8. Bayo. Or rather, Kyrian?
Yeah, we have Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust below the nameplate. South Africa's military ends hijab ban for Muslims. It's on page 37. Nigeria drops in fresh TI's corruption ranking. That's yes, it's on page 6. Then more Chibok girls escape. It's on page 10. The lead story, gunmen kill 10 in Katsina, abduct 81 in Niger, Taraba. And of course, we have 3 riders to that. Dozens injured, cows rustled at Shema village. Kidnappers of Takum youths asked for ransom. Synergy key to ending insecurity. That's according to experts. And below the photo story there, Buhari cautions against ethno-religious prejudices. That story is on page 6. Then 9 CPs promoted to AIGs. That's also on page 6. Now, man jailed 14 years for attempted kidnap in Zaria. It's on page 35. Obasanjo nearly retired me from army 21 years ago. That's according to Buratai. That's on page 13. Let's bring in Bayo here now.
Well, let's start with the news from Daily Trust that is heartwarming, indicating that some Chibok girls abducted in April 2014 may have escaped to freedom. A parent dropped the hint to Daily Trust because the parent hinted that some parents have been invited to come over to Maiduguri today, particularly for a ceremony about the returning girls. A source identified one of the escaped girls as being a sister to another girl who escaped 5 years ago. In fact, some natives of Chibok have been visiting the family to congratulate them already about the returning of the girls. The secretary to Chibok Parents Association, Lawan Zana, says that we heard some of our girls escape from the forest, but we are yet to get the details. It may be recalled that 276 students of the government science secondary school Chibok were abducted on 14 April 2014. 57 of them, while they were being conveyed, jumped out of the trucks. Eventually, 219 were taken away. Subsequently, 4 others escaped, 21 were later released, and 82 others were negotiated. So far, about 107 of them have so far come out of it. So of the 276 that were adopted, 164 have regained freedom. There is still 112 to account for. Out of the 112, we don't know how many will be showing up in Maiduguri today. Among those that earlier returned, 20 of them are studying in various institutions in the United States of America. President Muhammadu Buhari says federal government will continue to promote religious freedom as its constitutional responsibility. At a meeting with the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, the president emphasized that his administration will not allow religious prejudices or partisanship to influence its decisions and policies. While warning against ethnic and religious prejudices, he promised to be fair and just to all across the segments of Nigerian society. He said the federal government will continue to promote religious freedom as well as its constitutional responsibility. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs and the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar Aditori, enjoined government to deal decisively with banditry that is ravaging the states of the Northwest as well as North Central. He also appealed to Nigerians and particularly religious leaders to refrain from making inflammatory comments as this continue to sow seeds of discord across our nation. The Transparency International has released its ranking for 2020, placing Nigeria 149 out of 183 nations. The report says that the placement was from data from 8 different sources based on perception by Nigerian business community, the community experts and then the level of corruption, particularly in the public sector. However, the presidency says that it is not accurate portrayal of the facts on the ground in Nigeria. In the statement by Special Assistant to the President of Media, Garba Shehu, says that, for instance, for the 2019 report of the Amnesty International, 60% of the data of transparency was based on business activities that centers on the Nigerian ports. Certainly, government is more than the activities at the ports in general. He says that the source of the 2020 data is being analyzed to understand how transparency came about it. He says that there is a government agency, the technical unit of the government research will provide information on the sources of transparency international data. On COVID-19, 864 new cases in 23 states. Federal Capital Territory is leading with 129, but apparently this is one of the first times that the digits are going down since Christmas. So far, as of today, we have 25,624 cases. In Edo State, 16 persons have been convicted by a Edo mobile court for violating compulsory use of face masks and restriction of movement between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Having pleaded guilty, they were sentenced to 3 hours of community service, and they engaged themselves by cleaning the premises of a Edo State Sky Court. Unfortunately, they have on their records, they are convicts now, and that has serious implications for them. Meanwhile, governors of the northern states, under the auspices of Northern Governors Forum, says that they are ready and will take the first dose of COVID-19 whenever it arrives. Chairman Governor Simon Lalonde sent the assurance to a webinar on safety and efficacy of the vaccines. The Executive Director, National Primary Health Care, as well as Professor Abdulsalam Nasidi, an epidemiologist, gave insights into the safety about vaccines. You know, there's been a lot of false information outside there surrounding vaccines, so much so that a lot of doubt has been created in the minds of members of the public. So there's a need to actually give the safety assurance to members of the public.
Well, this issue of safety, well, it's necessary, really, but then the vaccine has not even arrived. We're talking about the myths and facts about the vaccine. Now, this vaccine has been administered globally, right? So if there are any incidents of any mishap across the globe, we would have known that by now, because it's the same vaccine, the same source of the vaccine. We don't have our own local vaccine. No attempt is even being made to have our own local vaccine. So, what has been administered globally perhaps, has been approved by WHO. And
well, there's approval by WHO, and not only that, by the time the vaccines comes here, our own agency, NAFDAC, will have to ascertain its veracity and usage in Nigeria. And not only that, the federal government had also made funds available for vaccine research, especially for the Veterinary Institute, and this has been going on. And the Minister of Health has also indicated they are in talks with vaccine producers across the world, so that by the time the vaccines is available, we can also initiate some local production based on some understanding. So that will go a long way in enhancing the vaccine availability. But the danger is, if as you make your bed, so shall you lie. Until the vaccine arrives, it's better to mount a serious campaign about the negative information that is there, especially on the social media, about the vaccines. Well, there are some persons who have reacted, they have allergy to vaccines, and it is not unusual. But the kind of alarm that is being raised is creating fear in the minds of people.
Well, the government has not announced that there will be a compulsory vaccination program for COVID-19. So, in the meantime, your point is noted. There should be further enlightenment, and those who wish to take the vaccine step forward and take it when it is available. Just one comment to make on the APC registration, which is said to be taken off. It's right there at the foot of the front page of the Nation newspaper. It says APC registration takes off as the registration of members. I would just hope that the APC will learn some lessons from what happened many years ago when the then ruling party, the PDP, engaged on mass registration and re-registration of members. It turned out to be a deregistration exercise for some. Atiku Abubakar was then vice president. He was deregistered in Adamawa, and they had to now bring a notebook to register him, especially in Aso Rock, as though Aso Rock were his constituency. So we hope they will not be using exercise books actually this time, that they will have a database that is accessible, from remote locations. This is just a jab, by the way, that if you recall, the PDP exercise of 2005 and 2006 set in motion a great deal of the consequences that the party eventually faced in terms of the defeat that they had in 2015. So registration...
They are still going to use notebooks, knowledge about that. Where do you have database in the walls in this country, all these walls, they are going to use notebook. But the point is, after using notebook... Are
you the organizing secretary?
No, that's what is happening at the moment, They use notebooks, then if they cannot perhaps bring notebooks together, collect information, have a database at the state level. But registration is from the world.
But you see, I think these are the building blocks.
Yes.
So what is the big deal with getting your party executives, whoever they are now, at the world level? I don't know what the arrangement is. To say at the world level, just get a laptop or just get any smart device and impute the data of your members. And from there, as you said, Kirian, from the world level, you upload it to the local government level. From local government level, you upload it to the state level, and then the state level will upload it to the national level, so that at any point in time, you know who your members are, who to target in your campaigns, who to woo, subsequently. I believe that the guidelines are also clear. If you are not 18 years, obviously you cannot be a member of a political party because it will be virtually useless. Since on voting day, first of all, you will not even be registered for INEC to have a voter's card. And so on voting day, you will be of little value to the party.
Unfortunately, history has a case of a stubborn resistance of repeating itself, and that's what we are seeing there. It goes to show that our political parties, the activities are always low-key. It's heightened up when elections are here, and after elections, they tend to go to sleep.
Better. All right. At this point, we'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
For your analysis. We hope to see you again on Monday. You are watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll focus our attention on the major topic for today's conversation, which is on mitigating fire incidents in Nigerian markets. Stay with us.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together. Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youth, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, Let's build our nation together.
After getting their first win in the Premier League, Sheffield United traveled to the Etihad Stadium to take on second-place Manchester City. Will they get a reality check, or can they pull off the upset? Find out as Manchester City welcomes Sheffield United on the Premier League Live, showing this Saturday on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
The program is Good Morning Nigeria, and our guests are ready here in the studio and elsewhere. But before we begin the conversation, let's take a background report as put together by Victor Azo.
Indeed, Nigeria has seen several fire incidents in recent times, particularly market fires. From the Balogun market in Lagos to the Oba market in Benin and the Ochanja market in Onitsha, the fires raged. This year alone, barely 2 weeks after fire razed several shops at Ijesha market in Lagos, another fire incident had occurred in Lagos markets. In two separate incidents, Alade markets in Shomolu and Agboju markets were engulfed with fire on Monday and Tuesday, not forgetting the Sokoto Central market fire in between. All of these led to loss of livelihoods running into several millions of naira. In some cases, lives were also lost. What might be responsible for the incessant fire outbreaks? How might this be curbed? How equipped are the fire authorities across the country in cases of such fire incidents? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria are set to provide answers.
Well, joining us now to discuss this issue, we would like to welcome the Comptroller General of the Federal Fire Service. It's Dr. Ibrahim Liman. Dr. Liman, pleasure to have you with us on Good Morning
Thank
Nigeria.
you very much, Kisley.
Okay. Also here with us in the studios, would like to welcome Malam Shuaibu Mokhtar Umar, as the former coordinator of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Malam Shuaibu, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, as we await the arrival of our guests in Lagos, let us take off this conversation. Gentlemen, it's good to have you here with us. Let's start with the Comptroller General of the Federal Fire Service. Our topic this morning is mitigating market fires in Nigeria. Of course, is a phenomenon in Nigeria that every year, especially during the dry season, we have this experience of fires across the nation, major markets across the nation. And that over the years, Nigerians have asked this big question of why is it happening on a yearly basis, after sensitization, after all form of mitigations, after all form of meetings, collaborations, synergy, yet every year we see fires gutting major markets in Nigeria. Now, what to you is the reason why it has become a recurring decimal?
Thank you very much. The issue of fire market, it happened during Harmattan season, and that is end of the year and the beginning of the year. And in every fire, three elements are very important, and these three elements are prominent during this period, which is called Harmattan. That is the temperature, wind, and the dry nature of the weather. And this aids and fan rapid combustion, and that's why we are witnessing what we are witnessing now. And for the markets, we have master plan for our markets, and these markets were well built, but people distort the master plan of this market, especially the market managers. and also the Traders Association. All available space in the market are taken over by temporary shops. And these are the issues that make it difficult for firefighting in this market. And that's why we continue to experience what we're experiencing every day, every month, every year. Not that we don't sensitize them, we do. But the structure of fire service is that we have federal fire service, we have state fire service. In some states, we have local government. And the issue of jurisdiction is also there. Most of these markets are under local government or under established management by the state government. And in most cases, the state's fire services are in charge. But when we see that that capacity is not there from the state fire services, the federal has now taken over the responsibility of making sure that we reduce to the barest minimum market fires.
Well, Dr. Limal, I still want to stay with you. I mean, you've ticked off the causative factors and then the drivers of such fires, usually at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year: temperature, wind, and dry weather. But if we know this, why is it that there has been, from your evaluation, a failure to mitigate the incidents?
The failure is from who? The failure is not from fire service. As I told you earlier, we have master plan for these markets. And it's so designed that firefighting equipment are made available in this market, like fire hydrants, water reservoir, access road. But by the time there is fire in this market, you don't have access. The latest one, that of Shehu Shagari market in Sokoto, the Minister of Environment have to be contacted to give us a bulldozer to break part of the fence to gain access to the market. Very unfortunate. So we will continue to experience that as long as the traders are not cooperating with the management. We engage the management in discussion. They say there are a lot of pressures from the traders to give them the available space. That is outside my own jurisdiction. But we will continue to enlighten them the importance of allowing us access when there is fire outbreak. Causes of fire in the market is like causes of fire any other place. But do we have access to the seat or the source of that fire? No, we don't have the access. In most cases, we have to break structure to gain access into this market to fight fire. And these temporary shades, they are very good fuel for fire to spread. And that is what we are experiencing. And during this period of harmattan, the wind helped in making the fire travel very fast. Like that of Kano when we went, we saw the origin of the fire. And we saw the direction where the fire travels. And that was the direction of the wind at that time. But the materials, all the shops along that area were consumed by the fire. We could not gain access to Sokoto market when that fire occurred, not until after 45 minutes when the fire started. You know what it means. We had about 7 firefighting trucks on ground, but we couldn't gain access to the market. Is that my fault? It's not my fault. It's the fault of the market manager and the traders. They should blame themselves. It's not the fire service. We are doing our best. It's not the fire service of 2015, 2014 that we have now. We are in that 36th state of the federation, and we have equipment, we have personnel. That one can beat my chase. Thank you.
All right, I think this issue of having access to market has been there over the years. I recall the Ochanja market, incident of last year. They couldn't have access to the market, and that's why we always talk about the market traders associations. What should be their role and all of that. So it's good you raise this particular aspect of the conversation, because when you talk about markets, persons losing their wares to fire, you also contributing to what is happening to you. That's the understanding. Now, we have our guest in Lagos, Francis Ewerido. Francis Ewerido is the Managing Director, Titans Insurance Brokers Limited, and member, Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, Lagos Area Committee Executive. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's indeed good to have you because of the role of insurance in all of this. But before we come to you, let's talk to Shaibu Mokhtar Omar, who is the former coordinator of Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. You've listened to the Controller General of the Federal Fire Service, on the constitutive factors for, repeated fire incidents, every year in this country. And of course, the issue he raised concerning having access to market when there's fire outbreak. For you, what's your own take in this with respect to the entire, it has become a scenario that we have to manage on a yearly basis, people losing their wares, people getting poorer and poorer because they are traders and all of that. So what's your view should be done?
Okay, thank you very much, Korean. But let me just correct in the aspects of my name. I don't have Mukhtar there. It's Umar Shuaibu.
Okay.
It's okay. You see, I don't want to repeat what the Controller General has said, but I will talk in the aspect of planning the market itself. First of all, before even locating a market, we take into consideration the provision of that in the master plan, and we have what we call zoning regulation. We don't even locate markets that is in our modern planning. We have differences in Nigeria today. There are some of these markets that are not product of modern planning, and they are somehow improvised to see that we are accommodating that. But as town planners, whenever we are locating market, we first take into consideration the zoning regulation. In that zoning regulation, is that area where, according to the master plan, earmarked for the market? Yes. If it is so, then we do the layout. And we take into consideration also the surrounding development. If it is in a commercial area, what are the surrounding development to that market? Are there filling stations there which will aggravate any situation, whether there is any market? We prevent that. Depending on the hierarchy of that market, we give priorities to the functions. So if the market is so big, we don't allow filling stations around. Thirdly, the circulation within the market, within the layout. We make sure that we allow vehicles, specifically when there is aspect of fire, the vehicles, the firefighting vehicle can penetrate into the inner parts of the market to fight fire in case of any incidences. When we are vetting our plans in our planning offices, we take into consideration, is that development, is it provided for like smoke detectors? If there is going to be any smoke in the aspect of maybe electric sparks and what have you. If there is not smoke detectors, we make sure that it is provided even before giving the building plan approval. We make sure there are fire hydrants in all locations so much that it will be easy for the fire service, if they come to fight fire, if the water in their vehicle is finished, they don't need to go to the water bowl. They are right there, they can plug in and get water and continue with their activities. So we take all this in consideration. What is happening is discipline. We are not disciplined. That is the major issue. Now, let me give an example of what we have in Abuja here. We have two major masses in Abuja here. If we can remember, we don't have any cases of fire incidents because of the initial measures taken even before that. Take an example of the Wuse market. Example of the Garki market, the Garki modern market. The structures are solid, they are fire hydrants, they are smoke detectors, that is even if it costs. These are markets where you can go with your vehicle to the innermost part of the market. So if we have these incidences, it's very easy for us to nick on the board. Now, separate from that, we have the Kubo market. You know, there was this incident in Kubo market.
Oh, yeah, that's on the way to Nyanya.
Exactly. We have all these ones. The Controller General knows what the challenges we are facing there. Because it is initially not a product of planning, and it was not constructed the way it should be. There are makeshift structures. The FCT fire service go in there in order to sensitize the marketers there. Unfortunately, they did not cooperate. They fix time to invite, they go there themselves to the market, invite all these market traders to come. They don't have time to listen to whatever measures the fire service want to educate them in case there are these issues. So discipline is there. Definitely the market traders and the market management are the people that must be targeted in order to see that we solve all these major problems of market fire.
Madam Shoaib, thanks a lot. I mean, it's heartwarming for those who are familiar with the Federal Capital Territory, other than the Kubo furniture market, which you mentioned a while ago, which of course is obviously is unplanned. I'm yet to hear of any fire incidents or fire disasters in major markets that you have around the Abuja metropolitan centers. Yes, when you get into those markets, it's a pleasure driving in the first instance. You find the level of aeration, the space that you have, and the way the bricks are, are constructed and all that. CG, you want to make a comment on this?
Yes, thank you very much. 10 years back, every year we had fire incident in Wuse Market. I was in charge of FCT Fire Service then, and His Excellency, the President Governor of Kaduna State, was the minister. And we sat, what do? We said, sir, there's a master plan of this market. It's distorted. Why don't we go in there? We need political will. And that was how we were able to clear all those things. And informal markets was introduced. You understand what I'm saying? And since then, if there is fire in Wuse Market, you can drive in with your fire appliance. Before then, there was nothing like that. It was difficult for us to gain access to Wuse Market. But when Erufai took the bull by the horn, we went in there, he demolished all the attachments. And those people were given another place, and that's why we have urban department in Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, in charge of informal market, street naming. And these people were handed over to that department, and they were given location where they should have their informal market, which within a given period, maybe from 10 in the morning to 2, you finish, you go away. And that was how we got that sanity. And when we had this fire in Kano, because of that experience, I did the same thing for Sabongari Market. And for the past 3 years, there's no fire outbreak in Sabongari Market. Now, I was in Sokoto this week, and I met the governor, and we are going to apply the same thing in Shagari Market by the grace of God. So, sir, we need political will to be able to sanitize this market. Without political will, it will be difficult. Because if a director general of the market say it is difficult for him to implement and put in place fire safety measures in the market, then there's a problem. He said because the traders are not cooperating, and they are threatening him that if he wants to enforce it, it's his life. So there is problem somewhere. So we need political will. What is important is political will. Without political will, we cannot achieve anything. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Liman, thanks a lot. Madam Shah, we'll also return to you presently. Let's bring in Mr. Francis Ewerido now, who is an insurance broker. He's a regular guest, usually when we are discussing fire incidents. Mr. Ewerido, of course, you've listened to the Controller General of the Federal Fire Service and the former coordinator of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Well, again, there have been reports of fire incidents in different parts of the country, and the usual scenes have also been played out where those who have suffered losses put their hands on their heads, they are wailing, and then crying to the Almighty, and also crying to government for succor. Why is it that those who suffer such catastrophic losses often have no succor from the regular system, ordinarily say insurance?
Okay, thank you very much. What has happened is that those people did not take insurance. That is what has happened. Surprisingly, fire insurance, the rate is very, very low. Even for somebody with, let's say, if your shop is worth about 10 million, with maybe 20, 30,000 naira, you have insured it for a whole year. And that is the kind of money that some of these traders use for lunch under 1 month. So that is part of the challenge. They didn't take insurance. In a typical market, the insurance can be taken individually and as a group. That is to say, the individual trader can take insurance to protect his financial interest, that is to cover his shop. And then the market itself can bring the traders together, which is better, and take up insurance as a group. That is a fire and special perils insurance as a group. Many of these markets have not done that. But normally, insurance should even be like the last bus stop. The first thing is that because if you tell insurance people, I want to insure this market, they will not just jump in and insure. First of all, they have to carry out a survey. What is causing this fire? They need to know. And then after they have known, what measures can we put in place to mitigate the occurrences? Is it a housekeeping problem? Is it a construction problem? They'll make suggestions. And sometimes when insurance makes suggestions, they make these suggestions and they put it in the contract that, look, implementing these suggestions that we have made are preconditions for payment of claim if there were to be any fire loss. Because I heard the previous speakers talking about the difficulty in implementing some of after the planning. The original plan of the market has been distorted. They have difficulty in restoring. Insurance will insist that you do that, because if it's a precondition, if you don't fulfill it, then in the event of a claim, you might just be wasting you might just have wasted your money, because this thing is stated there for you. The markets, what I would advise each market to do is get yourself an insurance broker who understands the market. He will help you look at what you need to do, and then you implement it. Implementing the suggestions are even in the best interest of the traders, because there are discounts if you implement. For instance, let's assume that the insurance broker suggests that, look, for every shop in this market, we want you to have a functional fire extinguisher. And maybe for every row, there should be functional fire extinguishers. If you have those things in place, then you get some discount for that. And then the other discounts they will give you if you were to implement some of these measures. So that is one of the ways insurance can help in the first place to mitigate these fires. Because insurance, fine, will help to restore you to the financial position you were before you suffer the loss. But for us insurance people, we don't even want you to suffer loss. We want to be the last bus stop. Because when you talk about when you suffer a loss, if it's the material damage will be taken care of. That is what you lost will be taken care of. What about the business interruption? Did you take a business interruption insurance? Many people don't take business interruption insurance in Nigeria. Definitely not small businesses. So you suffer losses of 10 million material damage, the insurance company pays you. Then for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're at home doing nothing. What happens to the profit you would have made? So these are some of the things that the traders are supposed to think of before they begin to distort building plans and they think that when you just take insurance, you've sorted out your problems. It will only sort out part of the problem. Then the other thing is that insurance, to ensure that there is good housekeeping, we have what we call excess. And what excess simply means that you, the policyholder, will participate in the payment of each and every claim. And the whole essence of putting an excess there is to encourage you to be a good housekeeper, to implement health and safety environment measures in wherever your space, so that you don't just assume, well, if anything happens, insurance is there to take care of it. It does not just work out that way. There are things, there are obligations that policyholders must fulfill. That is one strand of it. Then I believe, as I have said before, because now we have problems implementing some of these things, why don't we make insurance of markets against fire compulsory? Whether it's at the local government level, or local government are in charge, or the state government are in charge. Make laws and make it compulsory, so that they will know that they are obliged to insure. And when they insure, they will be forced to implement some of these measures that they are being told to implement that they are not implementing. Thank you.
All right, still staying with you for a while. You've talked about obligations policyholders must fulfill, and you have explained what perhaps I may term as a very, complex, in a situation that arises, based on the fact that you are engaging traders. Some of them are not well educated. How much of sensitization has gone in, from the insurance end to the traders as to understand these complexities and perhaps the obligations that they have to fulfill? Because if they don't understand the way insurance works, they're not going to take up insurance. They have market associations. Have you been engaging such, organizations, in the markets to, explain these things to them, for them to understand even why it should be compulsory? I mean, if of course they will it that way, to make it compulsory for them to engage in insurance and ensuring their wares in the market. So is it a possibility to sensitize traders in the markets to understand these concepts you have explained?
Yes, I don't want to generalize. Let me talk about the Lagos market that I am familiar with. I know that in Lagos here, I don't know of any market that either insurance companies or insurance brokers have not visited to sensitize and to encourage them to take insurance. Luckily, I was part of a team of insurance brokers that organized market associations together. So many market associations at a time within Lagos to sensitize them, to tell them the necessity for to insure, to take up fire and special perils insurance, fire and burglary if necessary, then even life insurance for themselves in case the breadwinner dies suddenly, so that the family they left behind does not suffer. Yes, there's no. We are looking for business. The Nigerian insurance in Nigeria, insurance penetration is still very low. So everybody knows that there's a large market out there. So people are being sensitized. Sometimes the message are received with enthusiasm, but talk is one, action is another. Some market associations have done insurance, some others have not. But as for sensitization, it is being done and it's a continuing process.
Okay, just before we bring in again the Comptroller General of the Federal Fire Service, Mr. Francis Ewerido, I would like you to elaborate on one suggestion you made a moment ago, namely that perhaps the time has come to make market insurance compulsory. That's to say for traders or associations or individuals, maybe certain classes of markets. After all, we have motor vehicle insurance, which is compulsory, the minimum of being the third party insurance. But that is by law. So how would you, in the event that this proposal is agreeable, how would you want this reduced into our laws? Is it something that is fairly feasible or what?
It's very feasible, very, very feasible. Because for every market, the systems and processes are already there. You have market associations. So you are not setting up fresh structures. All you need to do is to to go through the market association, because through them you can reach all the individual traders. So depending on what the law is, whether it's individual traders that should insure their wares, whether it's the market association that should insure on behalf of all the traders, or both. The most important thing is that you have an insurance policy in place to cover your losses in the event that a fire occurs, or if there are third parties involved, depending on what the law is again, to cover liabilities to third parties, either for bodily injury, property damage, or death. So it's very, very easy to implement. What we need is the law. The vehicles are already there. The market associations and the insurance industry is ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Werido. We'll return to you in the course of the conversation. Controller General, I saw you shaking your head, or nodding your head rather, in approval of the suggestion by Mr. Werido that, look, probably we should have compulsory market insurance. Is this something that you think that we can pursue? Because obviously, assuming there is no existing legislation for this, at a public hearing, you will be one of those to be invited. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much. The market management is not under the federal government. So it's not the National Assembly that will make those laws. These markets are under either local government and the states. States have their state assembly, and I think they can easily make laws.
The matter of insurance is under the exclusive list, so it's not a state legislation.
Well, I think the insurance companies have to engage the Traders Association and also engage the lawmakers. This thing is possible and is visible, just as he said. And I think it will bring succor to many of our market traders that after their losses, they don't become the same again. So I think with insurance policy in place, which we also like to join the advocacy group to enlighten the market traders, the market traders association, the market management, the need to have this insurance in place, which I think is visible, and it will be a big relief for the market people. But what is important, as he said earlier, is housekeeping. It's not the issue of the structure. Most of the structures are perfect. The problem is housekeeping. So we need to sensitize the traders and the management of this market on proper housekeeping. Because if you look at the causes, it's carelessness of one person or group of persons, which maybe we'll go into later.
All right. Sheb Umar, you listened to the insurance broker in Lagos, and he actually explained out a lot of issues, concerning people engaging in insurance policies, traders especially, to ensure that if there's any mishap of the type we're discussing, perhaps they will, recover some of the lost wares, or in monetary terms. The question has always been, like he actually said, that the insurance has not really penetrated the system in this country. And many people are actually scared of the fact that, look, even after insuring, at the end of the day, you may not really get anything when you lose, your wares or what has been insured. In your understanding, is it a possibility, for traders to actually engage or rather insure their wares? And as simply asked, is it also a possibility to have a law that will make insuring your wares in the market compulsory?
Yes, it's very possible to have the law, but the challenges we are going to face after making the law is the implementation, the enforcement of that law. The major problem that we have now, if you look at it critically, is more on enforcement. Wherever you have these things not prevalent like we have in Abuja here, the difference is the enforcement of the planning regulations on the mode of operations. I'll give an example of what we have in Abuja here. In Abuja, if you go to the Development Control Department of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, you have so many bulldozers. Definitely, if you must enforce planning regulations, you must have demolition equipment. There are many of these urban development boards across the state that they don't even have single payloader. Tell me how they could enforce that if in various markets they have illegal attachments where it will be difficult for fighting vehicles to go and do their works in case of fire incidents. When the planning authorities don't have implemented enforcement equipment, it's difficult for them to act. And that is what will also affect this law if it is made. So there must be cooperation of major stakeholders when the law is made. The local governments, the state governments, the law will be made because it's in the exclusive list, quite okay, but the implementers are at the local level. So there must be that synergy. the market associations must also be disciplined. Discipline must also come into this.
Well, I just wondering, Francis Ewerido talked about housekeeping being a critical adjunct to an insurance policy. Housekeeping being mean that, look, what are the things you are supposed to have in your markets? And how should you operate in a market environment? That will be the responsibility of the self-regulatory organizations, namely the market associations. Yes. It is easy. I don't know. I'm not an insider, but I think it is fairly easy for the market associations to levy their members, whether to go and buy a Shuebi or to go and do one function or the other. So why, therefore, can't they also be encouraged to say, look, for you to get into this environment in the first instance, on a yearly basis, these are the requirements. Pay your insurance premium, either for your shop or for your goods, and then also for the entire market environment, and your responsibility is X, Y, Z. Can't we start from there, Madam
Yes,
Shuaib?
if you do not do that X, Y, Z, there are some measures, sanctions against you. Like, yes, we know it's a regulation that you must have fire extinguishers. Mm-hmm. The market management can enforce that. On a regular basis, they will be going for inspection. Do you have this and that in your shop? If you don't have, what are the sanctions for not you having this and that? That is everything, the major activity are revolved around the market management. If the market management is effective, it's going to be very easy to implement and to regulate. We also, the town planners, we cannot go there without the cooperation of the market, and that is why like what we have in the setup in Abuja here, there are so many aspects in which the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council have to come in aspect of market management. That is why we have the Open Affairs Department within the council in order to regulate all these activities that are happening in the markets. So there must be this synergy and the cooperation on all the major stakeholders. Well, and I believe it's possible.
Controller General of Federal Fire Service, I have seen your men here in the Federal Capital Territory, and of course I used to also see them in Lagos. Those were the Lagos State Fire Service. Go into public buildings, even private premises, to inspect, to see where the fire exits are, whether in any eventuality there can be escape routes, and where they feel that there have been blockages, they recommend or request that those blockages be torn down. And sometimes they also come with their equipment to tear down those blockages and then provide fire exits. Well, you've talked about political will. Why is it difficult, for instance, for the fire service, not the federal now, not necessarily the federal, to say, look, we are going on visitations to our markets, we are seeing these obstructions, and in any eventuality, these obstructions will most likely increase the level of damage that will occur?
Thank you very much. As I said earlier, it's political will. In this market, we have fire posts. And at the entrance to fire service, you have illegal shops. Yes, I'm telling you. You will go and complain to market management. They will tell you that their hands are tied. There's nothing they can do. But with what is happening now, I think they are getting to accept advices from the fire service, whether federal or state. And we need cooperation of the state governments, the local government, traders association, and market management. For us to fully, we have what it takes to enforce this thing. But just like the former coordinator AMC said, without the cooperation of this tier of government, it's going to be very difficult. Otherwise, we have a department that is in charge of enforcement, not only buildings, even the market. But as I told you, even our own office in the market is taken over by the traders. And for you to even complain to the market management, it's as if you are giving them a difficult task that is not going to be possible. So but with what is happening now, I think they are getting to understand that there's need to have proper housekeeping. And we will go out now with all force. I remember during General Dambazao, we wrote to about 6 governors where we have international markets. To our dismay, none of them replied. None. I'm saying this, none of them replied. But when fire happens, they want us to come in. We say put this in place, put that in place, so that we even minimize the impact of fire if it happens at all. But we want to reduce it to the barest minimum. But nobody replied us. I will not mention the states here. He wrote, signed by the minister, honorable minister himself, to state the governors. They did not respond to what he wrote. So we could not carry out our inspection. Maybe when we wrote, they gave it to their state fire services or local government fire service to go and do what we suggested in those letters.
And in that respect, one may also like to ask whether there is any synergy that exists between the federal fire service and the state fire service. I raise this because if we have this obligation to ensure that our markets don't get gutted by fire on an annual basis, that something should be done, perhaps from the federal to state. So is there such a synergy whereby when it comes to the issue of carrying out the responsibility of saving lives and property, that you have a collaboration, at a point of collaboration, or a template, which of course, you have to you work upon to ensure that this doesn't happen?
In terms of firefighting, excellent synergy. But when it comes to preventive measure, which will attract revenue generation, the issue of jurisdiction now comes in. But in terms of firefighting, there's no problem. But when we come to risk assessment, which is fire prevention, which at the end of the day, the building will be certified and issue certificate, first in the hands of the states, not the federal. And if you go as federal fire officer to go and enforce the implementation of the fire safety regulation, you face some restriction, resistance from the traders that their loyalty is to the state fire service. But if there is fire outbreak, nobody knows which one is state, nobody knows which one is federal. So even last week, I received a letter from a state director of fire service reporting this type of issue. And I've directed my Deputy Controller General to call the state director and our zonal commander to bring them to the table and resolve the matter. So in terms of synergy, firefighting, that is operation, no problem. But when it comes to risk assessment of structure, where we now enforce implementation of the regulation, issue comes up. Because that one now, they have to generate revenue for the state government. But we are talking to the state director because we have a platform which we normally meet annually. That is National Conference of the Controller General and the State Director of Fire Services, where this type of issues are discussed. And I think some of them are already shifting, and I'm sure many will also join, because it depends who is the head and how are you relating with the heads at the state level. And I think I can say now, we have solved more than 60% of that, and gradually I think we'll be there so that we can work together as a team, so that we have state safe of fire safety.
I was just wondering, I mean, it's curious how you talk about risk assessment being a revenue generation scheme for the state fire services. Shouldn't, I don't know, I mean, shouldn't that be ordinarily a straightforward thing that whoever is engaged, in
federal government, that of fire risk assessment falls under the state government. Under the state government. But now, as I said, because of the synergy we are having now, the process of that risk assessment is combination of both the federal personnel and the state personnel. Because now we have our personnel in the 36 state capital of the federation. So they are working together to ensure that people comply with fire safety regulations.
Okay, thank you. Let's return to Francis Nwerido, the Managing Director of Titans Insurance Brokers once again. There's a question we posed earlier on, perhaps from Kingsley, which has to do with legislation to make insurance compulsory in Nigeria, and the fact that insurance falls under the exclusive list. It will be very difficult, for the federal legislature to make law that will be that will be obeyed at the state level. Now, what in your opinion can be done to get this achieved? Should that be legislation by the state governments to get this done?
So the state governors have, or state governments and local governments even, have assets. They bear risk. So they don't need any federal legislation for them to make laws that will cover their risk. The existing laws already, the Nigerian, the Insurance Act that governs operation of insurance in Nigeria already covers them. The laws are already there. The problem we have is implementation. I'm talking about enacting a law to make insurance of markets compulsory. That should not be a problem. That should not be a problem. The state governments can always make their laws. All they need is if there are areas where they need to collaborate. Of course, they'll collaborate with the National Insurance Commission, which is a federal agency. And anything that will advance the cost of insurance in Nigeria, NICOM, that's the National Insurance Commission, will be in support of it. So there's no problem at all about whose responsibilities it is to make the laws. And the issue is not really, we are just talking about having market fire insurance compulsory. Much of the issue that we have in Nigeria, whether it's mitigation of fire, construction of markets, and sticking to whatever the plan is, as we have observed already, the problems are implementation. One of the issues we have in this country is that we allow problems to fester, and then when they fester, they become entrenched. When they become entrenched, it becomes a big problem getting people to change. I grew up in Ughelli in Delta State, and when I grew up, the market there, they were already trading on the road. We are talking of over 50 years ago. I was there in November. The road has been dualized. Only one lane is being used because traders have taken over one lane. 1.5 lane, in fact, only a half lane is being used. And the median, there are shops on the median, even if they are temporary, they are traders trading on the median of the road. So these things are entrenched. We need willpower. Even the existing laws, let's have the willpower to implement them. We explain to the traders, it's going to be carrot and stick. You appeal to them because it's not even safe to be trading on the road. It's not safe to block access. If you go to Balogun in Lagos here, there are some places you won't even know there's a road there because traders have covered the whole place. It's once in a while those vehicles, those people who are used to the market, who know that there's a road there, you see a vehicle coming and all of a sudden you see traders moving their ways. And then as the vehicle is passing, the road again is gone. So it's willpower. Let's explain to these people. These things are not just right. You can't block the right, you can't block the road. You can't trade on the road. When you use wood to build attachments on existing structures that have been planned already, wood is fuel. And if it makes the fire to spread very, very fast. So let's even start by implementing the laws we have, while we are trying to create additional ones to solve the emerging problems, like occasional, it's market fires occasional in Nigeria anymore. I'm not sure, because I know that on the average, before I came, I took time, I was counting the number of fires in markets. We have, every year, we have between 30 and 50 market fires. That is a huge number. Goods are lost. revenue is lost to the state, the local government who are trying to collect revenue. Revenue is lost to the local government. Revenue is lost to the federal government. So this chaotic situation is not helping anybody, including the traders, who every time they have to go to the government to ask for succor when there is a fire, because they have no fallback plan. They won't insure, and they won't ensure good housekeeping to ensure that fire is minimized. So the situation helps nobody. Let's do enforcement of existing laws while we make new ones to take care of the emerging situations, the emerging problems. So that is just basically the solution to it. We need the willpower, as has been observed earlier. Without willpower, even if you make new laws, they still will not be implemented, and we are back to square one. Thank you very much.
Quickly, on the issue of people who trade on the road, it's virtually in every state of the federation you find such, and they're being encouraged by local government authorities who collect the revenue from them. Because if you talk to the traders, they will tell you that they're here based on the fact that they're allowed to be there, and they pay their dues on a daily basis.
Yeah. Kirian, the point that you just raised now, and earlier highlighted by Francis Awerido, had engaged my thoughts many years ago. You realize that even decades past, when market stores were constructed, even outside of the city, on the market day, where the markets would take place every 5 days, traders would not be inside those stores. Rather, they will be by the roadside or around the perimeter of the market itself. Unfortunately, we have seen, accidents involving lorries that run into those persons. And it's on and on. So, and our traders also have a habit of saying, look, they must showcase their wares where people are, where there are passers-by, where there are motorists, so they can sell. I've also been, part of the wonder I've had is, look, couldn't we have studies? I mean, somebody could, do a thesis or a dissertation or several things. What psychology or sociology informs the behavior by our traders to do what they are doing? And then how do you incentivize them to retreat into the regular stores? And then ensure that, the regular stores themselves are not crowded, because when losses occur, everybody gets affected.
It's all about competition, and survival of the fittest.
Yeah, well, fine. So how do you mitigate that? Because one, as you are, I agree with you. I mean, Charles Darwin will be very happy with what you have said, but survival of the fittest, and then there is lawlessness?
Exactly. That's what it is.
Okay, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria.
It's a Nigerian.
But it's something that is something that I don't assuming there have been no studies. That's something that people who are interested in those areas could get into anywhere. It's a menace. It's an eyesore.
It is a menace.
All right. So you're watching Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you on the network service of the NTA. We're taking a short break now. When we return, we'll take some of your tweets and then get ahead with the remainder of the conversation.
A new edition of TV Guide is out with special focus on the game changer, His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State. Broadcasting in a digital economy, Maxwell Logo gives an insight. This edition also features Nancy Naji of AIT, a name synonymous with business. Meet the NCDC boss, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu. TV Guide, your indispensable companion, also x-rays the relevance of social media in the modern society. Meet some TV professionals who have impacted their spaces and other inspiring stories in sports, entertainment, and lots more. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or NTA stations nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting, messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
After getting their first win in the Premier League, Sheffield United travel to the Etihad Stadium to take on second-place Manchester City. Will they get a reality check, or can they pull off the upset? Find out as Manchester City welcomes Sheffield United on the Premier League Live, showing this Saturday on the NTA network from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Go.com.
We're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We're glad you're still with us up till this moment. We've actually touched on a number of issues, concerning mitigation of market fires in Nigeria. And a lot of issues have actually been raised. And one of which that has not been raised actually is that of storage. When it comes to storage, in some markets, people store some highly inflammable wares and items, which tends to exacerbate fire when it breaks in such markets. And I want to ask the Controller General of Federal Fire Service whether there is any form of sensitization of the traders on storage systems in the market. I know that there may be no warehouses in the market. People have to store their wares in their own stores. But is there in any master plan, market master plan, should there be areas that should be mapped out for just storage and not perhaps people to store in the open markets, where they have to make their sales?
Yeah, you are talking of compartmentation here, which is very important. The town planner is here. In every market, if there is compartmentation, it will help to check excesses of fire from here to another one and the reaction. But when you mix them together, you have a problem. Yes, there could be warehouses where they can keep these goods. And if it's in the warehouse, it has to be segregated also. There is segregation of goods. But I think the major challenge here is we allowing even people to sleep in the market. People sleep in the market. And if people sleep in the market, activities at home is brought to the market. They cook, they iron their clothes, they boil water, and other things. So if all these are put, then it will now bring about storage of highly inflammable material like gas, petrol, because each shop has its own generator. So, but if we have compartmentation, those that are selling this good are in group A. Another people selling this type of good are in group B. This one in group C. Then the market can have a general warehouse where if your 100% of your goods, keep 70 there, bring 30 for sale. When you finish, you go back to the warehouse and take. So if you can observe both compartmentation and segregation of goods, I think it will bring sanity, and that is the housekeeping we are talking about. Two, we must discourage people sleeping in the market, because as long as human beings sleep in the market, there will be carelessness of handling of these electrical appliances. And when you allow this to happen, as I said earlier, they will bring all sort of cooking material from the house to the market. Then each shop now has its own generator. Instead, if you look at Gariki market or which market now, we recommend that even if it is two big generator, get it for the market instead of individual shop having their own generator. And I think that is working now. In I think Gariki market, that market are very close to Art Theatre.
Mm-hmm. The traders have to contribute money to...
No, the market management is government. Government is taking revenue from them, so they must provide. Those it is when government doesn't provide that people improvise by themselves, which is wrong, and that is what is bringing the indiscipline, just like the coordinator. So, if you want to bring in discipline, the government should provide the needful. If government does not provide the needful, it will even be difficult to enforce laws. So, I agree that there should be compartmentation of goods. Then there should be segregation and compartmentation of stores and segregation of goods. If this is done, it will bring sanity and it will check spread of fire, and you will be able to save enough when the one you have in your shop is being destroyed by fire, you have something to fall back to.
And that could also necessitate some redesign, because the markets, the way they are constructed, there's hardly room for mass storage or group storage, because everything has to be inside your store, and a number of the traders probably have their warehouses off location. Yes. I was just wondering, Malam Shuaib, tell us, I mean, there's some presumption that we must make. Why is it that local governments in general appear to be more interested in the rates and levies they will collect from these markets rather than in fire prevention and protection, and even in dealing with fires when these fires occur? The distortions that you have said now, the distortions that we all talk about, that attachments are made and so on and so forth. You see, like when you say there is a national shutdown, say maybe on election day or environmental sanitation day, that is when you will see how rickety structures are all over the place with planks and 2x3, emergency structures nailed together. Why do local governments not take keen interest in the disasters that occur from the overutilization of regular spaces provided for markets?
You see, the major problem we have in the local governments are the lack of capacities. Because the way you have professionals at the federal level and at the state government level, in the local level, you don't have these professionals. So there is short of education. In a situation whereby you find out that maybe the officer in charge of either works or planning or either the actual workers is not even a professional in the field, what do you expect? So they must be educated. They must make sure that we have professionals within these places. The government has done a lot. The state government, other federal or state government, has extended its services to cover all these local areas. In Abuja here, the response time to all fire incidences, the highest is 5 minutes. 5 minutes. If ever there is any fire incidents in Abuja here. And so in recent times, even the state governments are complying. I take an example of my local authority here, in my local government where I come from. Whenever I go home, I see new structures of fire service stations coming up. So there are a lot. But if it comes in terms of the actual operation in the markets, so many of these are lacking. The aspect of planning of compartmentalization, all modern markets are now compartmentalized. You have where you have the warehouses, we have where you have the household marketing activities. All of these are segregated. So they are taken into consideration. But in a situation whereby even the exit are blocked by illegal extensions within the market, what do you do? So the capacity must be built in the local governments. Make sure there are professionals that will enforce. Not only building the capacity, there must be equipment that if there is incidents of violating the regulations, we can go and enforce. And all local governments must have at least a payloader. You cannot enforce planning regulations without demolition equipment. Yes, we will be accused of being so hard, but if you are not hard on people, they will not respect the law. And whenever there is any incident that leads to loss of lives, it is the government that is going to be blamed. So in that situation, it behoves on the government to be hard in the areas of simulation, at least to save lives. And I will suggest something like a retreat for the market managers. There must be regular retreats organized by the government for the market managers to educate them on the new emerging standards on market management. So if they are continuously being educated, they are building capacities on the local government's area and the local government operators and the market manager, I think we'll see improvement in the matter.
Now, talking about local government areas, Kinsley, a situation where we do not have a stamped authority at the local government areas with respect to having elected government at the state level, all these issues will have to come up because individuals who are there, perhaps as sole administrators, do not have their eyes covering, they don't have that details, of covering the market environment to know what is happening there. And in fact, when you say that people are raising illegal shops and all of that, they're also being masterminded by some staff of local government because they collect revenues from them. So that is what we are seeing. In any case, that's not the best of things that should happen. But as a question the producer is asking us to put across, that has to do with the issue of fire handling. That is to say, if fire breaks, for instance, Controller General, if fire breaks anywhere, what should be the next action by anybody around, who perhaps may have been the first responder to the fire?
If there is fire outbreak, the first person to see the fire is to raise alarm. The essence of raising alarm is to get helping hands. To put a call to the nearest fire station. That's why I always advise people that wherever you reside, know the nearest fire station to your house. Know their telephone number so that in case of emergency, you can easily call them. 2, if you should have fire extinguisher, that is the essence of risk assessment. We give you recommendation of what to put in place because every fire, starts very small. And at that incident stage, you should be able to summon courage to carry a fire extinguisher to extinguish that fire. But even in doing that, you must put a call across to fire service. And when you notice fire, don't leave the windows open. Don't leave the doors open. Make sure you close them. Because if you leave them open, air will come in and it will fan the fire and it will spread very fast. But when you close the door and windows, by the time the heat consumes the air in that building, the fire will remain where it is. It cannot travel because it requires air to move forward. So if you just sight fire, that's the essence of fire alarm. Fire alarm sound just to give people notice that there's emergency. Something is wrong inside that building. So the moment you sight smoke coming out from a building or fire is to raise alarm. Shout, fire, fire. People will come, your neighbors will come out, and they'll be doing their best while a call is put across to the nearest fire station for us to respond to that fire.
And as you have said, when you have raised the alarm and neighbors are coming, that is not the time to open the doors and the windows because sometimes out of ignorance they may then open the doors and windows.
Water, yes.
And plus the fact that you also have to deal with area boys who will come and then want to quickly help themselves with the items there. But I was just wondering, I mean, it's not really a laughing matter. But because once you're having such losses staring you in the face, I mean, it's quite a challenge. But we've talked about, fire extinguisher and then a fire service. I have seen in some other locations, some other jurisdictions, intermediate firefighting equipment. Intermediate, when I say intermediate, your fire trucks are very sophisticated. That's the Federal Fire Service. I don't know what level of equipment they have at the state level, but couldn't some of the big markets engage in purchase of or in acquisition of smaller firefighting trucks, lower capacity, so that if the extinguisher, assuming they know that the fire extinguisher also expires, because that's an expiration date, if the extinguisher is not enough, you can quickly roll out the hose of the little fire truck you have there, and then the one that's not so difficult, complex to operate.
Many markets I know in Nigeria don't have them. They don't have these trucks. And tanker of 10,000 liter capacity, 15 also. The ambulances, 15. While we are buying water tanker, many fire hydrants are not reliable. Not reliable in the sense that there is no water. And if there is water, there is no pressure. And if there is no pressure, you cannot lift water. So it's as good as it does not exist. But when fire truck is moving and you have a water tanker backing it, you are confident that, oh, my truck is taking 6,000 liter of water. I have a backup of 10,000 liter. By the time you are finishing this 6,000, this one fill and go back and get water. So there's no way you can be short of water during operation. So we are going to buy those rapid intervention, and I'm sure by the time we buy them and we take them to international markets, I know some state government will like to buy them for their market also. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Controller General Fire Service, Liman Ibrahim. Well, at this point, Kingsley, we need to take on the tweets that we have for today and see if we'll be able to take them all before the end of the program. From Reverend Mani Abban says, many of the market fires are due to electrical appliances. Advocacy and sensitization on putting off appliances before leaving at the close of the day would help.
Mike Ayakwa tweets, I attended a seminar on fire safety. The takeaway was that the best way to fight fire is prevention. Attention in our markets should be on how to prevent fire occurrence. Now, our market setups are ridiculous to the extent that shops are built on thoroughfares. In some markets, they are so congested to the point that human movement is difficult. One wonders what happens in these scenarios when fires occur.
Alamu Salisu, our markets are not well planned, so congested that access to some parts becomes very difficult. Let's do the right thing by planning our markets with good space and access roads so that the fighters can get access to fire area to avoid total destruction.
Mutana Farouk, now, causes of fire incidents in our markets should be thoroughly investigated. These incidents are mostly attributable to electrical faults. In the meantime, many markets have no electrical facilities that can be utilized for checking surges. Fire in the marketplace is too rampant.
Festus Akimboewa, it's incredibly upsetting that many traders have lost goods and properties worth millions or billions of naira to market fires. Traders should stop storing fuel in their shops, and all businesses in the market must have industrial fire extinguishers.
Leo Fadaka, our markets must be decongested and have well-planned structures, safety gadgets, security surveillance, and inflammable materials restriction.
Oladime we will continue to have serious market fires in Nigeria until markets are decongested so that our fire trucks can have quick and easy access, and all shops have functioning smoke detectors. Fire extinguishers and shop owners and market recruiters are trained on how to use it. Fire hydrants should be installed in all markets.
I just, fire hydrants, I mean, it's the way our people understand, apart from in markets now, you have boreholes all over the place. Sometimes they assume that boreholes are a substitute for fire hydrants.
No, borehole is a feeder to feed the hydrant. Hydrants are on the water main, and it has to be fed. And the only way to feed it, in case the water board is not working, is borehole, either from overhead tank or from underground tank or surface tank.
Well, if you say mains, we have a problem with reticulation.
Yeah.
In other words, in urban areas these days, how many of the locations have water from the public source? All right. Law Alpha C, Kirian, let me take this. Say, why some adduce spiritual reasons for market fires as a means to business expansion of the traders in that market? Another school of thought, which is where I belong, is that some businessmen are careless and unprepared for emergencies.
All right, I think that's much we can take from the tweets. I'd like to thank Yerema Isa, Yunusa Idris also for sending in their tweets here. But at this point, we have to conclude today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria by appreciating our guests who actually did justice to this very important topic. Talking about the Controller General of Fire Service, Liman Ibrahim. We thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Shraib Umar, former coordinator, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. It's been wonderful talking to you this morning.
Thank you very much.
Francis Werido, Managing Director, Titans Insurance Brokers Limited, and member of Nigerian Council of Registered Insurance Brokers, Lagos area. We thank you for being here this morning with us. Next on Good Morning Nigeria is Paul.